Come on, you streams. You can do it. He's online. There they come. Facebook, YouTube. Get in there. Good morning. A rush in the morning is always good. Our Illy coffee's in our Cowboy Bebop mug. Good mug for a pirate day. Wednesday's still pirate day. We still carry that over from the olden days. We're missing a window over here. Let me get that window added. There we go. Throw that over there. We can see it, and we'll be good to go. Another hectic morning. Moving some new equipment around. Updated the computer just because yesterday we were having some craziness. So updated that thing. Got it updated. So that was a rush last night. Put in a new light bar. Put in a couple new lights. Hopefully the lighting looks a little better. I know the sound maybe every time we do this, the sound is not quite right the next day. So we'll get the sound up, sound fixed and ready. All kinds of stuff going on today. Gmail services are in the news. Emotet is back with a vengeance. Brazil is showing up on the national malware stage, trying to be the second largest, I guess the Pepsi of attack regions, I guess. The Pepsi. Is Brazil okay, I guess, is the question. When you go to get your, you buy your ransomware as a service, you go and say, is Brazil okay? Kind of like they do with Pepsi. But it was a rush. It was a rush to get everything. We've got some good stuff. We had to upgrade some stuff here in the studio, so to speak. I guess it is a full-on studio now. Just kind of shoved in the corner here. But it is ready to go, ready to start doing some demo. We've got a couple things. Everything should be in by Thursday. We got a couple last-minute things, so we can do some PowerPoint markups, so we can do some demos. We do have the overhead shot, which is good. We've got I don't have a button for that one, but we can switch the overhead shot. So it gives us a down view now. You can see down on things, which is kind of cool. So we got that. That stuff will all be going forward as we start doing more and more demos, start moving the equipment demos forward. We got a ton of stuff to do. As you know, we've got 8 or 9 projects going. Lots of stuff. But today is talking about what's going on in the news. What's going on out there in the cyber world? What do you need to know about when you take on the day-to-day to go meet with your friends, your families, your coworkers, to talk about cyber? You're the go-to person. You're the go-to guy, the go-to girl, the person people go to talk about cyber. So you need to know about Emotet being out there. You need to know about what's going on with credential stuffing, why that is important to know today. A ton going on. Let's see. Yesterday, this is where we fell down. Let's see if we can get the video. We'll clip over to the video and we'll be right back. And it worked just like it was supposed to today. That's really a good thing. So, first up on the docket, Brazil. Brazil is gaining international infamy, and a lot of our stories this morning are from Cyber Social. They're pushing the news out. I don't know how many people they got working over there, but they got some hamsters and gerbils churning out the news. But essentially, there's 4 banking Trojan families that come out of Brazil. Gilma, Javali, Melcotes, and Grandorino. Grandorio. I mangle these names every single day. I need to go back to different language schools, I guess. So these are seen going beyond just their normal borders and attacking a wider area in Latin America, and Europe. So this group's collectively known as Tetrade, and they normally go after banks. They go after big money. And again, we know why do they do it. The why of all this is they're trying to get in to banking systems to make money, to steal money. I guess I shouldn't call it making money. They're going in there to steal money. So Guildma and Javali malware are getting noticed because they're innovative ways of using YouTube and Facebook to handle their C2 or command and control communications, and loading additional modules as requested. Melcoats uses the malware uses auto IT and VBS scripts added to MSI or Microsoft installer files, which run malicious DLLs or dynamic link libraries, using a DLL hijack technique aimed to bypass security solutions. Garandario was observed using new techniques that usually use banking institutions to bypass security measures used by banking. Garandario, that's the one they're seeing expanding a lot more, maybe the most expansion. It's trying to establish, this part of the group is trying to establish itself as a global threat. So some things it did in May 2020, an improved version was seen targeting Portuguese victims. It included a latent bot C2 and attacked several Portuguese banks. In April 2020, it was taking advantage of the COVID-19 crisis to attack users and was hiding on fake websites that promised to provide vital information about the virus, the COVID-19 virus, not this piece of malware. Interesting things about Brazilian crime. Since 2016, the Rio Olympics, Brazil has gained the spot of the second largest cybercrime hub in the world. And the Brazilian threat actors are obviously seeking to improve this standing, trying to get to that #1 spot as #1 bad guy in the world, #1 criminal organization in the world. So we look at how they're going about this, right? The why they want to get their malware onto your computer, right? They want to be able to take control of your computer to do a number of things. They want to spy on it. Maybe they're using it for Bitcoin mining. Maybe they're using it for attacks on other things. Maybe they're moving laterally around your environment, especially if you're talking about attacking a bank. So if they're going after a bank, they're going to move around laterally. They're going to try to get to a place where they can make money one way or another off of this situation. Protections are always big. Diversity of defense, defense in depth, keeping your systems patched, keeping your antivirus updated, border protections. But the biggest thing, again, we go back to the end user, and that's what we have to. We have to educate the end user. If we don't educate the end user, they're going to click on the link and they're going to bypass all your security measures. So you're stuck if we don't do that. So we got to take that extra mile. We got to go the extra mile somehow to educate our end users. And when we say end users in this form, in the form we're talking about in the morning, our cup of cyber, that's you as the security person talking to your friends, your families, your coworkers, letting them know what this stuff's all about. Letting them know that there are bad things out there. If you see someone sending you an email about COVID-19, make sure it's legitimate. Make sure that it is coming from who they say it's coming from. Yeah, I guess that's the tone here. That's what we have to do to protect from it. So again, we know this type of malware, especially when we talk about Trojanized stuff, if it gets on your system, if it gets on your user system, your family, friends, coworkers systems, it pretty much a lot of times is going to be a remote access tool. It's going to allow them to do just about anything, turning on cameras, spying on people, installing software, using that system as a bot, whatever they want to do. If they can get on the system, they're going to do it. So again, help your friends out, help them get the stuff locked down, and just not click on links. Don't believe everything that comes in mail. Have some protections in mail. We'll talk about what Gmail's doing about that in a moment. Credential stuffing, still huge. So credential stuffing, we know, again, this is going to be the tone of the morning, I think. End user education is the tone of the morning. With credential stuffing, an attacker will go to a site that is a listing or a dump of breached usernames and passwords. So it's one of those, some site gets breached, their account information gets compiled and put on a website, and maybe a website has 20 or 30 or 100,000 or more lists of usernames and passwords. And we know end users, the users in general, aren't good about having different passwords on different systems and having complex passwords on different systems. So a lot of times they'll come up with maybe a complex password, which is good because a lot of sites force that. So they come up with a nice, strong password, and they use that same password on every single site. So maybe they've got that same password on 50 or 100 different sites. So that's not uncommon to think about. If you think about all the music services, all the online services, all the shopping services, email, all the different things you log into during the day, a lot of times those end users will use that same password on multiple systems. And a lot of times they'll even use the same user ID. A lot of times maybe it's their name or maybe it's their email address. And they use the same thing everywhere. So when the attacker goes to one of these breach sites and they find those names, then they will use that information to try other sites. So if I'm going to say Larry's Food Market has a breach, and your user ID for Larry's Food Market is Sam, and your password's 123. You also use that on your Redwire music streaming service. So the breach on Sam gives them the credentials. They try it on a bunch of different systems and see where it works. And that's credential stuffing. We try that breach name on a bunch of different systems. And for some reason, I don't know if it's Restream this morning. I see you, Paul. I don't think I can bring you on the screen this morning because Restream is not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not sending the comments over to my screen so I can post them on the screen. But good morning, Paul. It's good to see you, even though I can't throw your comment up on the screen. Thanks, system. System is awesome when it does that. Makes me crazy when it does that. But anyways, so that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that our end users are using something. Get them a known good password vault. A lot of things like Semantic Norton, when you buy the subscription, it comes with a password vault already. Use complex random passwords. Use different passwords on different systems. Don't reuse your passwords. And definitely don't use your work passwords in your social life. It would be terrible that your own personal information was breached because of this credential stuffing. But it would really be bad if not only your personal stuff was breached, but also your work stuff was breached and they traced it back to your reuse of a password. Password hygiene is really what they call this. So it's been increased. So in this case, they're seeing credential stuffing used for music, video, on-demand entertainment platforms are being used because it gives them a high return on investment, on their attack investment. So Akamai has been tracking this stuff between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2019. 88 billion, with a B, credential stuffing attacks were recorded across a number of industries. 17 billion, or 20%, were targeted against the media sector, which includes streaming media, TV networks, cable networks, broadcasting, and even digital publishing and advertising. First quarter of 2020, the trend continues, and it's getting to be about 1 billion hits per month. Cybercriminals traded video and media accounts for about $1 to $5 on the criminal market. Some platforms utilize the same credentials in their platform as other platforms, and those are going between $10 and $45. So obviously those are more valuable if they've got an account that links to multiple sites. So you're using linkage between the different platforms. So that is crazy. So Akamai recorded a 630% in attacks against broadcast television and a 208% increased attack on video websites. There's the story obviously in the show notes below. It's going to give you a lot more information of what's going on and let you know what the real deal is behind that. As far as some of the other stuff it's done in the past, some other credential stuffing attacks in the past. We've seen them. If there's this many going, talking about a billion with a B a month. And that's that. How is just how they're doing it. They're going to one of these dump sites, and we say they are the attackers. Are going to one of these credential dump sites. They're getting credentials, and they're just trying those credentials on as many sites as they can think of. And obviously, this can be automated. They can run an automated script that can target a bunch of sites. It'll tell you which ones are good, and then they can go in and exploit that further. They can exploit that site. Maybe they can access different things you have on those platforms. Maybe it's mail. If they get access to your mail account, then it's definitely trouble, because then they can always go in and reset other passwords, because normally the reset is sent to a valid email account. So there's a lot of things we have to worry about this. The protection of this one is good password hygiene. We don't reuse passwords. We make strong passwords. That strong passwords doesn't protect against this. The biggest thing about this one, don't reuse passwords. Just don't reuse passwords. And that's, again, end user education. We got to educate our end users, because they're the ones that are going to fall for this. They're the ones that are going to reuse passwords. And if you are the cyber person for your organization, you have to have a policy that says you can't reuse your password from your organizational account with your personal sites. And that's just one of the things you need to watch out for. You can keep track of these dump sites if you want. Look for organizational accounts that have been put out there. Look for the names of users in your organization if you can. That's a little more on the hunting side, but that's really the only way to protect against this, is to not reuse passwords. That's the long and the short of this one. It's just don't reuse your passwords. Make sure they're strong. Follow other good password hygiene as well. Docker's in the news. So misconfigurations, the Docker API, application programming interface, exploited a new type of attack. So Docker's works normally in a cloud native environment. And in July 2020, Aqua's team Nautilus cybersecurity researchers found a new type of attack. In this attack, it's hard, if not impossible, to detect using normal security tools we normally use for things like Docker images, like traditional static scanners. So in this attack, the attacker builds a malicious image instead of pulling it from public registry by exploiting a misconfiguration of the API port. It uses a legitimate image such as Alpine or Ubuntu, and then downloads malicious elements like XMRig from remote sources to build the machine. After the machine is spun up, the malicious attack comes from within a newly built system, living within the system, which renders a static scan essentially useless. So, unlike traditional attacks, the images used in this attack are not stored anywhere, so no one can take these down. In addition to the name of the image and possibly its ID are randomly generated, so it's unique to the host. So again, the malicious attack on this, the why is obviously to get a malicious box inside your environment. How you defend against this? You don't let people pull images from just anywhere. You have a restricted list of locations that images can be pulled from, and machines that can be spun up. Have a naming scheme. Make sure you have a type of name that looks right, so you can at least see that. Scan your environment, and that's important. And static scanning still is important, but you should use something like a dynamic threat analysis scanner, or DTA scanner, and have a cadence where you look at a specific frequency as often as you can based on your risk profile. Look for behaviors of patterns of malicious activity, and help your defenders. Have rules, have policies in place that define which Docker images can be used, and restrict them. Restrict the Docker images, man. Just trying to keep I got a tool called Ecamm Live that sends the live stream out, and it's supposed to link to the streaming source, like Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, and send me the chats in. So I'm trying to monitor the chats over there because it's not sending them in like it's supposed to. So first world problems, I guess. Big story, headliner of the day, the long dreaded, as the article goes, the long dreaded Emotet malware strikes again. It's been a little bit silent. Emotet's a Trojan. It's been out there. It's been not really dormant, but it's been a little more quiet. Emotet is a multi-purpose malware. Has been used one of the most active malware botnets in 2019. Kind of ceased all its operations February 2020, and it's returned with a new spam campaign. This month, cybersecurity firms like CSIS, Malwarebytes, Abuse.ch, and Spamhaus have confirmed Emotet's comeback, largely targeting US and UK, with phishing lures sent in English. So far, they've seen what they've seen is around 80,000 messages going out. The messages contain malicious Word or Excel documents, and inside there's macros that will install Emotet on the victim's computer. And this is one of the weird ones. Emotet, it's kind of like we talked about yesterday. When we're thinking about ransomware right now mainly targets organizations. But it's moving slowly from organizations to normal end users. And that's just because that's where the money's at. You get the big money from organizations, but you can get a bunch of little money from individuals. So you kind of balance it out. Where do you want to find your so to speak customer base? This same one, it was a Trojan that was mainly used on banking sites, but now it's being used as more of a public attack tool. So there's some rundown in the article. I always recommend you guys check these articles out. March 2020, this malware, Emotet, was observed using text from coronavirus news stories in an attempt to evade detection from security software. February 2020, Emotet was using fake bank domains targeting smishing, SMS phishing spam campaigns. And then in the same month, Emotet launched a phishing scam against financial institution, food, media, transportation industries in the US and UK using fake invoices loaded with malware. So this is where you get an email that says, "Hey, we're trying to pay this invoice. Just can you verify it's right, and we'll send you the money." You open that invoice, you're done. The other one, of course, like we've said all this first half of the year, I guess, they're using COVID. They're leveraging COVID. And again, this end user. That's the theme. That's the common theme of this morning. End user clicks those emails. It's going to blow through your environment. It's going to install it. If they're at their home machine, it's going to install it there. It's definitely something to worry about. Have your antivirus updated. Have your malware protection updated. A useful tool that's linked in the article, again from Cyber, February 2020, February 2020, Japan CERT, or the Computer Emergency Response Team in Japan, released a utility tool called Emotet that allows Windows users to easily check to see if they're infected with the Trojan. Tool can be useful by network administrators to use as part of their logon script to quickly find Emotet infected machines and prevent further full-blown ransomware attacks. Obviously, if they if they're Trojanized a machine, they can do whatever they want. They can bring the ransomware, they can bring the rain, they can bring the pain of a ransomware attack on your environment by installing this thing and then doing what they want, putting ransomware, pivoting, moving laterally around your organization, things that you don't want them to do. As the cyber person, friends, family, coworkers, let them know about this. Don't click those links. Be careful of what you're doing. Update your antivirus. All the good things, all the goodness we always talk about. The why they're doing this, they want to get on your machine. They want to get on your machine to exploit it for one reason or another. We see the big ones: ransomware, Bitcoin mining, attacks on other systems, moving laterally around a network. Those are all big reasons why they do this. Protections obviously include updating your malware protection, defense and diversity of defense, defense in depth and diversity of defense are big, and where end user awareness and training, obviously big thing. So Emotet's back. Took a little break. I guess it went on vacation or something. I don't know what they did, but they're back now. And Google's back in the news. They're updating security everywhere. It seems like Google here come 11 new security features across Gmail, Meet, and Chat. A lot of good things they're doing here. I like this first one. They've announced a pilot for corporate avatars in Gmail that's tied to the DMARC adoption. DMARC adoption outside of the government has been slow and not quickly adopted. But in this pilot, and they're calling this pilot the Brand Indicators for Machine Identification, or BIMI, allows organizations to display their corporate logo in the Gmail avatar slot. So normally where it says Gmail or it says that G, you can put your corporate logo. The good thing about this is it helps spoofing. So if Google is going to validate your organization. They're going to tie your logo to your organization. You're going to have to be adopting the email authentication protocol. And then once they validate everything, and they validate that you're the organization you say you are, they'll take your logo, and any mail that's sent that they can validate is coming from you will get your logo in that Gmail slot. So it's easy to tell your end users, hey, if it has anything other than our corporate logo in that slot, it's probably not coming from us. So it's a way to help your end users validate that the mail's coming from you. Obviously, it's for enterprise Gmail users. They're also beefing up controls for Google Meet. We know that when the pandemic hit, Google really didn't, I don't know, they pushed their online meeting platform. It seems like it's fairly new anyways. But they're pushing this thing forward. They're improving it. They're adding a lot of features that allow schools and organizations to more securely meet online. And this is important as we move forward in the pandemic. Out here in Northern Virginia, in the DC metro area, they pretty much all the schools here are going virtual, at least the first half of the year coming up. So we're going to see a lot more people being online, a lot more people meeting online for school. And we've seen last year, at the end of the last school year, we saw a lot of things that they titled Zoom bombing, where people would just show up to a classroom, maybe disrupt it, maybe cause the class to stop. And some of the students themselves were responsible for this. They'd post the meeting link on 4chan or something like that and allow people to come in. In this way, Google has allowed the host to gain more control over who can knock on a meeting, who can be kicked from a meeting, and a lot of time, well, now with this new process, if someone gets kicked from the meeting, they can't even knock to join again. That's what Google calls their request to join one of the meetings. They call it knocking. And they can only knock again if the host reinvites them. Meet will also automatically block attendees from sending requests to join a meeting if their knocking request has already been denied multiple times. Hosts are gaining advanced safety locks, which allow them to decide who and how users can join the meeting. For example, via calendar invite or phone. It also requires users obtain explicit approval to join a meeting. Safety blocks all users who are not logged into a Google account because they're deemed as anonymous users from joining a meeting. It also offers the host the ability to control which attendees can chat and present within the meeting. So it's just, it's trying to lock down the Zoom bombing and the hijinks we've seen in all online meeting platforms in the last year. Google Chat and Gmail is gaining phishing protections. Now links sent to users in chat will be scanned against the Google Safe Browsing, and if it's flagged as malicious, it won't be allowed through. In the next few weeks, chat users will also be able to report and block chat rooms suspected of being shady. And last on the list of these improvements on Google's side, they've introduced changes to the G Suite admins aimed at helping keep devices secure during the time of teleworking. Part of this, Google is integrating with the Apple Business Management Mobile Device Management System, or MDM system, to improve the admin's ability to manage iPhones and iPads. This availability of the G Suite Enterprise, G Suite Enterprise Essentials, Cloud Identity Premium, and G Suite Enterprise Education, Enterprise for Education admins. The second thing they did is they beefed up the data loss protection, or data loss prevention, depending on what camp you're in, DLP feature, so that admins can block users from downloading, printing, copying sensitive documents from the Google Drive. Admins can also run a full scan on all files within the Drive, automatically set controls for all users, and it's being set to available to G Suite Enterprise, G Suite Enterprise Essentials, G Suite Enterprise for Education customers. So if you're not one of those customers, you don't get the G Suite features. Some of these things you have to be subscribed to some of the advanced features of Google, but they're just trying to lock things down, trying to make things more secure. Again, I'll tie this back to the end user, trying to do this so that it's harder for the attacker to exploit the end user. So we see things like, if the avatar on the email is not our corporate logo, because that's been validated and vetted by Google, and we can prove that email's coming from us, then you're going to get this logo. If that logo's not there, it's not from us. So obviously we'll see ways that folks will try to exploit this in the coming weeks and months and year. We'll probably see a lot of exploitation of this. But it's yet another way. We move forward. We try to protect the end user. We try to keep things secure. And obviously the attacker does the same thing on their side. Trying to see who's out there, if anyone's chatting. So that's a rundown of your news stories of the day. As you go, you need your small talk for the day. Today is National Hammock Day. I've dropped a link in the show notes before the show today, so you have 22 ways to celebrate Hammock Day. Of course, it's from someone that sells hammocks, so the last 122 is buy a hammock. This is always celebrated on July 22. They call this the midway point during the dog days of summer, which is July 3rd through August 11th. We're right in the middle of it. So celebrate, relax, kick back on a hammock, have a beverage of choice, do those kind of things. And that's your rundown day. Hopefully that gives you the tools and information you need to know to go out there and talk to your end users, talk to your friends, families, coworkers. Let them know what's out there. Let them know what they need to do to keep themselves safe. When you take this forward, your job, if you're out there working security in an enterprise or an organization, make sure folks know this stuff's out there. A lot of people are moving forward with things like containerized applications or microservices. Make sure you're aware of what's going on with Docker. Increase your security if you can, and do the right thing. I guess do the right thing. But that's the rundown of the news you need to know. I'm Jim with Cyber-Recon. If you have the ability, share with your friends, of course. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell. You'll be notified when we go live. That's every morning at 7:30 out here, unless it's a holiday or the weekend. I'm not getting up early on those days to do this unless it's something really important. Trivia day is trivia night. The next trivia event, Cyber Trivia, is next Wednesday, 7 p.m. East Coast time. 40 questions. We're gonna do the sound only. That's gonna be 10 questions. We've been thinking hard. Em and Mako have been hitting the thinking caps hard, coming up with some thoughts on sound only. Can you identify sounds? And that could be from a movie, from a system. I don't know, somebody talking even. What can you identify from a sound? And the normal other questions we're going to have as well. So stop ringing. I thought it was on Do Not Disturb. So hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. I appreciate you getting up, sharing your time with me. Hopefully you can take this stuff to work, take this stuff in your day, make people more secure as they move through the day. Hit that like button if you like it. Throw a comment below. Let me know what you think about what we're doing here, what we can improve on, how we can help you, and if we're helping you get through the day. So, as always, I'm Jim with Cyber-Recon, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. As Mike Bravo would say, go get some, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be safe out there.